and good day. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz from eTurboNews, and this is a breaking news update. For more news updates and shows, please go to youtube.com/travel news group. youtube.com/travel news group. Here's our update.
Upcoming UNWTO elections, Zurab Pololikashvili feels under threat. In a response to the report of the ethics officer and the open letter from former high-level UNWTO officials, Zurab Pololikashvili has quickly sent out a letter to all UNWTO member states. He also prepared an addendum to clarify the HR report reflecting on the critical remarks of the UNWTO ethics officer. It seems to be a desperate attempt to save his position, while making false accusations to the former high-level UNWTO officials. This is the first time UNWTO Secretary-General Zurab Pololikashvili reacted or responded to an eTurboNews article. His response, however, did not go to the editor, but to all UNWTO member states. His letter with an addendum was sent on Friday, just days before a controversial secret vote designed to re-elect Pololikashvili for another term as UNWTO Secretary-General. The vote is scheduled for December 3 during the upcoming UNWTO General Assembly in Madrid. The Secretary-General was trying to clarify the critical remarks made by the UNWTO Ethics Officer in the report to the UNWTO General Assembly and the open letter sent by former high-level UNWTO officials about the Ethics Officer's report on management culture and practices in UNWTO. This was followed by the initiative taken by Costa Rica to request a secret ballot for the upcoming UNWTO confirmation hearing for the Secretary-General reappointment. Zurab Pololikashvili clearly feels under threat of not being able to secure his second term as UNWTO Secretary-General. In his letter, Pololikashvili writes that under the tenure of the former UNWTO representatives, irregularities were made. However, in none of the annual audit reports prepared by auditors from the UNWTO member states any irregularities had been reported. His reference in the recent letter to member states is a false accusation towards former management and staff, and symbolic of the way how Zurab has been accusing former management and staff from the moment he took office. This created a very bad atmosphere in the organization and started a culture of harassment and intimidation of many good former staff members. Institutionalizing corruption and manipulation. Since Zurab Pololikashvili took office, UNWTO has been making many attempts to institutionalize corruption and manipulation, pretending that all internal procedures are exactly followed, e.g. with recruitment and procurement processes. However, in reality, Pololikashvili made sure that recruitment and procurement committees at the UNWTO were only composed of his good friends, who would take any decision he wanted. Establishing an internal oversight position by appointing an internal ethics officer was clearly designed to have more control over complaints made by staff members. It was also designed to intimidate staff members that wanted to report issues. Under the previous management, there used to be an external ethics officer who had a much more neutral and independent position. During the first months in office, Pololikashvili changed the process to an internal ethics position. He felt that through an internal ethics officer it would be easier to exercise pressure to withdraw complaints when necessary. Threatened by the report of the ethics officer and the open letter from former high-level UNWTO officials, Pololikashvili quickly sent out a letter to all UNWTO member states and prepared an addendum to the HR report reflecting on the critical remarks of the UNWTO ethics officer. In a desperate attempt to save his position, he added false accusations to former high-level UNWTO officials. The letter by the Secretary-General and the addendum have been received with great surprise by tourism ministers in UNWTO member countries. Before even publishing the letter, eTurboNews received feedback from ministers and leading officials in the tourism sector, expressing concern and embarrassment of Pololikashvili's reaction. It is embarrassing that Pololikashvili accuses former high-level UNWTO officials, including two previous secretaries-general, of breaching the standards of conduct for international civil servants when they are raising serious concerns about management culture and practices within the UNWTO. Does he think that criticism is not allowed in the UN? In Pololikashvili's perception, loyalty seems to be the same as eliminating criticism. It is precisely this attitude and this intimidating management style that goes against any UN values. Zurab Pololikashvili prepared this letter and an addendum to the HR report, yet the addendum is full of information about the financial situation in the past 10 years. It did not give any doubts to the concerns raised by the ethics officer. In fact, this type of response clearly demonstrates why the ethics officer made her critical remarks and the former high-level officials decided to send out their open letter. Pololikashvili takes credit for turning the UNWTO balance sheet from negative into a positive. However, he left out the fact that Saudi Arabia paid UNWTO $5 million for establishing a regional UNWTO center in Riyadh. This $5 million is in addition to the expensive and operation of the center. The fact that the ethics officer includes such alarming and critical remarks in the report to the General Assembly and that so many former high-level UNWTO officials take the initiative and wrote an open letter addressed to member states clearly shows that there is something seriously wrong in UNWTO. Pololikashvili's statement that former UNWTO officials are affecting the unity and solidarity of UNWTO is absurd. Knowing that he himself ever since he took office has been responsible for the unity and solidarity of the organization to be destroyed by so many conflicts and controversies he initiated. The ethics officer and former UNWTO officials need to be praised for taking the action that exposed Zurab. You cannot get a clear idea of what explanation he is trying to give in his recent letter to member states. You only read noise, false accusations, and some yelling, a reaction that is unbecoming for a Secretary General of a UN agency. UNWTO interference in the upcoming election process. While doubts about the confirmation of Pololikashvili's second term as UNWTO Secretary General are building up, eTurboNews learned that some UNWTO officials are actively collaborating with Pololikashvili to contact member states. They try to put pressure on delegates or make deals to secure votes in favor of Pololikashvili's reappointment. If anything goes against the Code of Conduct for International Civil Servants, it is this interference in this UN election procedure. UNWTO staff needs to remain impartial at all times, especially when it comes to elections. Concerns have also been expressed that Pololikashvili is actively trying to facilitate deals that member states that cannot send representatives to the General Assembly in Madrid will allow other members that are close to Pololikashvili to vote on their behalf. The coming 2 weeks will be crucial for the future of UNWTO and the much-needed guidance this organization should give to the world tourism recovery process. It is essential that the member states stay alert and fully informed on the decisions to be taken and the voting processes in progress at the upcoming General Assembly. This is the only way it can be ensured that the General Assembly will initiate the process to build back a stronger UNWTO. This would be in the interest of all UNWTO member states and the many organizations, entrepreneurs, and employees working with UNWTO in the travel and tourism sector. The UNWTO Secretary-General should equally serve all member states, not only the ones the Secretary-General relies on to be re-elected. Comments by ministers. Incompetence and lack of quality advocacy on behalf of the industry in the most challenging moment in our history. Zurab has been vindictive and discourteous to individuals and organizations he deems unsupportive of his policies and programs, in the process alienating long-standing partners and thereby weakening the UNWTO. He is inarticulate, dull and even indolent. The UNWTO deserved better. His letter confirms his view of a closed organization not controllable outside. It was expected he should react. No mention at all in his letter about the report of the ethics officer, which is mainly what the open letter refers to and is a public document. No justification why he kept the date for the Executive Council in January when FITUR was moved from January to May. He is very well aware about the degree of manipulation only designed to position him for his confirmation. His letter is intimidation to the critics and other member states that want to challenge him. He is a disaster and a failure. He is using this platform to prepare himself to be the Prime Minister of his country, Georgia. Why did he appoint a CFO from Georgia, that a direct influence on the financial affairs of UNWTO by bringing someone from his country? He goes to small counties trying to give them a token of favors or bribe them so they can vote for him. This time he must be removed, otherwise the majority of member states will get a raw deal for their counties. There could be a mass withdrawal of serious members. UNWTO may become another ineffective and useless UN agency, if he is confirmed and continues.
Thank you for listening to our news update. There's more on youtube.com/travel news group, or you can read us, of course, in going to our news portal at eTurboNews.com or travelnews.online.